allow me the opportunity to welcome everyone here. I hope you are all doing great. And I would like to say that this is going to be such an impactful session. We are together here to listen to our well-renowned speaker and coach, and on the topic of the impact of leadership coaching. So on behalf of Agile People Ops, myself, Carissa Plaikis, your host, would like to thank you for all taking the time out of your schedule to join us today. I would like to introduce to you now our India Country Ambassador, Rohit Bagul. He's a certified Agile People Ops framework coach, a certified, sorry about that, some technical glitches. He's a certified Agile People Ops coach, a certified People Ops Scrum Master, an Agile enthusiast, design thinker, and HR business analyst. He believes that collaboration within Agile and Scrum teams is the key to using people operations best practices and Agile methodologies to improve the bottom line of your company. His mission is to help you learn why it pays to take this hard but rewarding step towards your future success. Now, I would like to call on Rohit to introduce our speaker. The floor is yours, Rohit.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for this opportunity and introduce me. Thank you so much. So today I'm very excited for this today's webinar because the topic is very hot. And when we talk about leadership, and leadership is the most crucial part when we talk about uh, uh, any organization. Not we can talk about only IT. We talk about operations, each and every stream, each and every frame. So when the point started to coming into my mind and what exactly we need to do that, and then I started to meet with the Mr. And she's a very dynamic personality I ever met. Because we talk for she is a very busy person and she gave me only like 10 to 15 minutes, but we
Ladies and gentlemen, it seems that we have lost Rohit there for a minute. Let's just give him some time to connect with us because we are so interested in what he has to say on the topic before we start on this very exciting section.
hello.
Hi, you're back. Yes, you
Yeah,
can go ahead.
yeah. Sorry, actually, I got some message and like directly divert is a third party and all these things. So it suddenly like closed that all the thing. Okay, so where I'm okay. So she is busy and then I talk with her. We spend a time like almost 1 hour, and then I realize what is exactly she is. She is a coach and she have a very good experience in the coaching and because and she come from the various dimension business verticals, we can say that IBM, HPE, Essential, and she's a work like coaching. Coach is always like, okay, you have a problem, I don't have a solution. Solution is in your end. So my role is only. So that time I realized, okay, we will introduce this webinar about the leadership. So thank you so much, Dharmishta. Actually, there is a lots of things to introduce you for the in front of everyone, but due to the time, we can just conclude all these things. So thank you so much for me to come here and give us the uh, you give your time for us for the most important topic, leadership coaching. And that is the one of the most important part in the current organize. If the organization want to explore themselves, then this is the most important thing, leadership coaching. They should learn to this. So now entire the thing is yours, and I'm very excited to learn many more things, and we all are excited to learn new things from you. Thank you so much.
Wow, quite an introduction. Thank you so much. I would like to say good evening to everyone, and I would like to thank Agile People Ops community for giving me this opportunity to conduct or to be the speaker of this webinar. And I am so excited to be here today among all of you. I see a lot of faces eager to join and learn. And of course, I hope all of you are doing well. And let's get started. I hope you are seated comfortably. And of course, if you have a pen and a paper, you would wish to note down certain things, you can always do that. And before we start again, I would like to say, introducing myself, I'm Dharmishta. And of course, Rohit has given a long introduction about me. I'm not sure if I I'm of that caliber, but let's make it simple for sure, right? And yeah, let's get started then. Of course, let me know if you can see my screen. I'll just share it. Okay, I would like to hear from all of you. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is, Dharmishta.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Well, a warm welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for sparing this busy time, for sparing your time for this particular webinar. It's indeed an opportunity for me to share my nuggets of wisdom on leadership coaching. And of course, we have the next, say, 45 to 50 minutes for this webinar. I wouldn't be able to cover most of the elements, as in like the elements of leadership coaching in depth, but I would definitely want to touch base on the crucial elements of what it is all about, and mostly the impact that it creates in our lives and especially in our organizations. And of course, before we begin, I would like to request all of you to put your phones on silent mode if you can, so that we can be immersed in the conversation or this webinar. And of course, there might be special times where I might expect an answer from all of you. What you can do is you can just unmute yourself and talk if there's a question coming up. All right. And of course, the floor would open up for the Q&A session at the end of the webinar once we are done. You can shoot your questions accordingly, and we'll have a discussion on it. Right. Good to go. Now, I would like to ask this question to all of you. I'm pretty sure you've seen these people, you know these people. How many of you know them? You can unmute yourself and answer. Anyone, any guesses? I'm sure you know them. We have three legendary characters, yes.
Second is Steve Jobs. Third is Sundar Pichai. I don't know about
Okay.
first.
Okay, great answer. Yes, you are right. Thank you. That's Soham, right? Yes.
Jeff Bezos, the first one.
Jeff Bezos. Thank you. Thank you, Hanif. There you go. Wow. Now, the question is, What is common among all three of them? What do you think? All of them are legendary characters, of course. They have led giant business empires for sure. But there's one common factor among all three of them. What do you think? What do you think that's the common factor among all of them?
That they are self-built men.
Okay, yes, of course, they're built men, yes, for sure. But what led them to this stature, to this success? What do you think?
Mindset.
Mindset? Okay. Anyone else? Thank you, Soham. Yes. Anyone else would like to answer? Okay, the answer is all three of them had one coach, and his name is Bill Campbell. And of course, I'm not going to throw a lot of light on Bill Campbell. So far as we know, he was a football coach, and later on, he came to be known as one of the most prominent leadership coaches. Now, the question is not about this. The question is, why do you think these legendary people needed coaches? Well, why do you think these legendary people needed coaches? They're already successful, or they might have earned a lot, and they might have been successful in their fields of work. Why do you think they needed coaches? Hanif?
And
I
they
think
all
Hanif
need
has-
some sense of direction, and all of us need that help, right? Even though our experience, all of us are biased at the end of the day, so we need someone who can be very transparent and be honest.
Wow, beautiful answer. Right. Well, all of us, in fact, now talking about what Hanif has said, they all wanted to expand their careers. They all wanted to stretch and grow. And that's where we need a coach. So if you ask me why all of you are here, the answer is all of us need coaches at some point of time. And whether you are in the field of business, you are an entrepreneur, you are a teacher, you are just a homemaker, or even if you are an aspiring leader or a mid-level manager or a senior level manager, all of us need coaches at our juncture of life. Why? Because we want to expand, we want to grow and achieve the desired outcomes or the goals. And of course, talking about biases, I'm going to come to that as well, what Hanif mentioned, right? So if we have to talk about leadership coaching now, this is, of course, not a new term. It has been here for some time, and of course, it's picking up pace and the momentum. And of course, a lot of organizations, if you talk about the Fortune 500 companies, they are including leadership coaching as their leading platforms, where they have leadership coaches, where they are making leadership coaches a topmost priority in the leadership training programs. Why? Because they want to grow and expand as well. And of course, like I said, and even Rohit has mentioned, it is not just exclusive to corporates. It is also common in smaller businesses. It's common in startups and nonprofit organizations. And this is where we have coaching or leadership coaching, or you call it executive coaching, spreading far and wide, right? So now we have a case study here, and I want all of you to take a close look at this case study and tell me what's going on. So that was this mid-level manager who regularly complained about his direct reports, that they were not listening to him, that they were not following his instructions, and of course, deadlines were not met. And he was under the assumption that he was communicating well or communicating effectively in all of his meetings. And of course, there was a slack in the operations after a few months, and he was recommended to work with a coach. And then later on, he got to know that his communication style was the underlying issue. So, what do you think was going on here? You can unmute yourself and just allow yourself to be wrong. It's completely fine. What do you think was happening here?
Maybe he was too authoritative.
Okay, yes. Okay.
Maybe he didn't realize that his audience were not understanding him.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe he was authoritative, maybe he was not realizing that his audience was not understanding him. And what are these actually pointing at? It's mostly pointing at the fact that
Actually, he was in a notion that everything was going correct, but after getting the guidance from the coach,
Hmm,
he found
hmm,
out that where actual mistake and actual loophole was. It was actually in
hmm.
his way of communication.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, Ramya. Yes, yes, absolutely. You're right. Of course, he was only looking at the problem from his lens of perception. And this is what we call stories in the language of coaching, when we are in our own biases, in our own narratives, and we don't look beyond our own biases or our self-limiting beliefs as well, or self-limiting biases, as we call it, the narratives. Right? Today in this webinar, I'm sure most of you might be, you are already in your managerial positions. You are people managers, you are into HR, you are in the IT operations, you are somewhere leading teams, whether it's a smaller team or a big team, you're already doing that. Now, the question is, when you see a team member underperforming or a direct report underperforming, how do you deal with them? What is your strategy of dealing with them? Do you directly tell them, okay, this is where you're going wrong? Or do you have a checklist of action items for them to follow? Or do you have a very directive approach of guiding them? What is your strategy of dealing with them? I would like to hear from a couple of you. Yes, of course. Anyone can go on unmute and talk about it. How do you deal with them? Yes, Rohit. You have your hand up.
Mm. Yes, actually, if any direct reportee is
Mm,
underperforming in my team, then I'm going to talk with or I started to observe him. What is his day-to-day activity into the day?
mm,
What he exactly
mm,
doing? If
mm,
he's spending a time or if he get a call, then I
mm,
try to identify what where he get a call, because if he perform very well and right now he performing underperforming, okay, he's not performing very well right now, and then try to understand there, because every employee or every people have a different perspectives, because sometimes in from home they will
mm.
think some home pressure or any kind of the things,
Yeah.
any financial things they are facing currently. So try to figure out with the conversation happen with them. It's a very casual but it's a very effectively positively empathized conversation should be happen,
Mm,
and then we talk about, then we come to the performance part slowly.
mm.
So I think this
Wow.
is if I choose this
Mm.
method to
Yes.
communicate with them.
Wow. You're already there. Of course. That's a beautiful way of dealing with your direct report. I would like to hear some more responses if we can.
Yes. So, hi there,
Yeah.
Mr. So,
Yes.
what I think you're quite aware. What is it that we do? It's we have certain guidelines. We in case we have someone who is not performing to the requested metrics. So what we do is we put them in performance improvement plan.
Okay.
The guideline says that we talk to them and brief them about what are the areas that the individual needs to work on, and talk about uh, also talk about how what are the resources that are available that individuals disposable I mean disposable
And
and
that is,
look at
yeah.
how they can utilize them, and wherever if they need some help, you know
Mm,
uh, whom do they need to engage with and all that. So
mm,
very detailed and documented approach. And
mm,
in case they don't, I mean, we look at terminating them. So yeah, that's it.
mm. Sure. Thank you, Hanif. Thank you, Rohit. Yes. Now, of course, if you talk about different organizations, they already have their performance metrics and they already have these things in place, right? Even if you look at the HR team, they have a different way of dealing with these direct reports if they are not performing, right? But the thing is, when you talk about, now that we are talking about leadership coaching, right, there is another way of dealing with it as well. And I'm sure some of you already have gotten the idea of how this works. So the idea is now there is a shift in the mindset the moment you delve deeper into leadership coaching, right? So when I say shift in the mindset, what does it mean? It means that we are shifting from the paradigm where we have a top-down management hierarchy, where we have a very directive approach to a more supportive and enabling approach, right? So when you talk about these several leadership development programs, I'm sure some of you have already been a part of these programs. And even if you have not, just to give you a brief idea of how that works, they usually enable these leadership competencies like analytical thinking, strategic thinking, building resilience in themselves, or how do you manage emotions in stressful situations. These are some core competencies that they focus on. Now, every great leader has these qualities in some degree, whether it's more or less, they already have it. So sometimes we have a leader who might be a strategic thinker, but they might not be empathetic. And sometimes we have a leader who is really good at inspiring others, but they might not be that good at holding someone accountable for what they have done, right? So when you look at all of these areas as well, leadership coaching comes in handy because we are already helping the person understand who they are, where their chink in the armor is, and where they want to be, like where they want to stretch, grow, what competency they would like to grow in as well. And when I talk about this, it's not just about developing just someone's leadership style. No, that's further from the truth. It's more about how you can help them improve their performance, how you can help them improve their confidence to step into a leadership role, or even help them strategize a plan in a better way. Right? So, this requires, of course, a shift in the mindset, like I said, where you have a more directive approach to something which enables things in the process. And of course, we are going more into details about how that happens. So, now my question is, why do we need coaching in the first place? What is the effect? What is the impact that we create? Right? So, why coaching? Because you cannot just tell people to change. How many of you agree? How many of you agree with this fact? How many of you have tried this with your team members? You've tried telling them, of course, but you have not seen any significant impact in their behavioral, or you've not seen any change in their behavior or the impact that they should create. Because when you tell people what to do directly, they go in a defensive mode and it pacifies their brain. And sometimes, if the person is rebellious, they would definitely ask you, of course, they wouldn't ask you openly, they would definitely ask you this question in the background. So, who are you to tell me that? Right? And of course, most of the times we go in that defensive mode, even if we know for a matter of fact that it is wrong and someone is telling us just to change. This is where leadership coaching comes in with a beautiful shift in the mindset where you are not just telling people to change. Why? Because as all of you have already got the word and throwing this word again, they are usually stuck in their stories, right? They're usually stuck in their stories, they're usually stuck in their narratives, what they believe is true because that is their lens of perception. Or let me introduce another terminology. I'm sure some of you might know about it. If you do not know about it, then probably introducing it here. It's called the mental map of the person, right? The mind map of the person, which is sometimes it refuses to see what's beyond the mental map, right, or beyond the mind map, right? So, for example, now when a leader acts as a coach or steps into the role of a coach, that brings in a shift in the mindset where we don't have the autonomy to just directly tell people what to do. We are not just an expert where we are providing all the answers. We are also bringing the change in their thinking because we are helping them see their own thinking, right? So that is where we can bring about a change. Now, why coaching? Now, we're talking about why coaching. Now, all of you, whether you are in the HR, IT, whether you are entrepreneurs, homemakers, or you are in the administrative department, all of us are primarily dealing with human beings, right? You agree? We are dealing with human beings. And human beings, of course, we are a complex being. We are made up of emotions. We are emotional beings at the end of the day, right? And of course, when you're dealing with a leader as well, the leader is not just the professional in that role. That leader is an amalgamation of his personal, personal world and the professional world. So sometimes it might not be the professional problem that they have come up with. They might be just randomly talking about, say, in one of the last leadership coaching conversations, I found that this leader was talking mostly about how he was not able to handle his sick parents, because of which it was affecting his performance at work. So you'll see a lot of examples where they are actually affected by different facets of their own life, especially their personal world. Some people might be tending to a sick parent, or they might be dealing with a personal issue, say a divorce or a separation, and that might be affecting their performance at work. And if you notice, post COVID times, even during COVID times, we had so many people grappling with issues that we did not know about. And it was indirectly affecting their performance at work. Right? And this is where we bring in the value of coaching. So when you talk about emotions as well, when we are talking about stories, our stories become stronger when we attach these emotions. Say you are attaching the emotion of stress or fear or confusion or sometimes anxiety, right? Shame, guilt, they become stronger, right? And what happens as a result? They overpower the observing mind. We all have an observing mind, we all have a thinking mind. And usually, when emotions overpower the observing mind, we lose the capacity or the ability to think through things, to see through things with clarity and the vision that is required. And what happens in that situation? Of course, we need an external thought disruptor. Introducing another terminology, it's called thought disruptor. So, who is a thought disruptor? That's a coach. Right? That's leadership coach who can help you break free from your own thoughts and thinking, the mental fog that we have. Right? So, now, when I was talking, when you talk about emotions, basically, so emotions shape reality. How many of you agree with this? Any takers? Emotions shape your reality at the end of the day.
Yes, agree.
Yes, yes, primarily yes. It is a known fact. Now, I was going through some of these ads, right? And I'm sure most of you like ads, advertisements, right? If you look at most popular ads, you'll see that they harp on the most common emotions of people, right? They harp on the common emotions of people. I was watching this Nike ad where they were harping on the cultural leadership, the emotion of, they're triggering the emotion of cultural leadership. So if you have to sacrifice something, go for it, right? So this is where we harp on common emotions. Why? Because primarily we all are dealing with emotions, and emotions shape our reality. Emotions shape our belief system and how we make meaning in the world. So, for example, if my emotions are strong, I might see things differently from, say, Hanif, and my lens of perception is totally different. Why? Because I'm seeing it from my own range of emotions, right? And Hanif might be seeing his own world. He might have a totally different belief system. Why? Because he has his own set of emotions shaping his reality. And of course, this is how it works most of the times when you're dealing with human beings, right? So usually it is said that neuroscience also proves that we make certain choices at the subconscious mind, and then we give the signal to the conscious mind via an emotion. We communicate it to the conscious mind, And then we come up with the logic why we made that choice, right? So this is where Zig Ziglar, if you know Zig Ziglar, the famous motivational speaker, he says that we buy on emotions and justify it with logic. Right? So that's where emotions come into picture. Yeah. And of course, are they good, bad? We're not judging it, but wherever you have strong emotions, you are liable to fool yourself. That's what Carl Sagan says, because like we already have talked about, it overpowers your thinking mind, your observing mind. And that's where we coaches and even everyone believe primarily that all of us need coaches at some point of time, because we can get affected through these emotions, strong emotions, right? So, like I was talking about the beliefs that make meanings and meanings about ourselves and how we relate to the world. So, why do we need coaching again? We cannot tell people because it pacifies their brains. And of course, they go into that resistance mode, that defensive mode. Instead, what we need is an external thought disruptor, a thinking partner in the process. And that is the value of coaching. That is the value and the essence of coaching that we bring to the table. And some of you might already be practicing it in your roles. Some of you are new to this field of work. So today we're going to just talk about the basic framework of how it works and why it's necessary, right? So when I talk about coaching, the a very simple definition would be it's all about asking questions that help people find answers that are right for them. And it's very difficult, I understand, because we, as coaches as well, we bring our own biases in the picture. We think that, okay, no, this person should do things according to this value system. Right? This is where we also bring in our biases. And I understand it can be a shift in the perspective and shift in the mindset when we step back from that role and help them see answers that are right for them and not for us. Right? Again, when you talk about again leadership and management as well in the perspective, it's an effective management tool. I want to reiterate that, of course, where you allow a safe space to your employees to fulfill their immediate responsibilities or their tasks by simply asking them reflective questions, which can help them look within and break their own barriers, break their own assumptions, self-limiting beliefs and biases, and advance in their careers and their professions. And even if they want to perform better in certain roles, they can do that, right? So, for example, now this comes to my mind when I talk about this asking questions. Now, there was this R&D director who actually had a problem with one of her employees because she could not make clear and concise presentations. She was grappling with it. And when the employee asked for inputs on one of her draft slide deck, what do you think was the manager's initial response or the natural impulse? What do you think was the natural impulse? She must have jumped. Yes, she jumped to the conclusion. She jumped to give suggestions immediately. And she jumped to talk about how it was too lengthy. She wanted to cut down the length of the presentation. Right? But then that was the initial impulse, and she stopped herself. And he instead brought her to a conversation and asked her clarifying questions. So the questions are like, what are the key points you would like to convey in this presentation? That was the first question she started off with. And then, how much does your audience already know? Right? And of course, what points will be difficult for people to grasp? And if you were in this place, would this presentation help reach your goals? So these were some reflective questions she asked in the process. And what do you think was the result?
The employee was able to look at things from the audience perspective.
Yes, yes. The employee went back with this renewed focus and vigor, and she did not even have that heavy handed intervention from her manager. She was able to think through that process. And she was able to come up with her own answers. So, what is the presupposition when we start off with leadership coaching? What are we assuming here first? We are assuming, or we already believe, that every person, every employee has a wealth of information, has a wealth of resources within themselves. They already have the potential to find the right answers. It's just that we have to tease it out from them. And when you allow that autonomy to an employee, it works magic in most of the situations. And of course, we are finding out how. So when you talk about coaching, leadership coaching or executive coaching, it allows, like I already emphasized before, it allows a safe, very non-judgmental, safe space for the employee, where the coach becomes a sounding board, where we remove our own biases and limitations, and we listen to that person without any pre-assuming things, or we are not assuming things about the person already, right? And of course, we allow them to be themselves, where they can see through their own mental fog, where they can see through their own emotions and have a more reflective conversation, which can empower them to come up with their desired outcomes, right? All righty. So, like I was saying, this is all about the transformational approach of coaching, where you help them see their own thinking, And it's just not limited to a problem statement. It's not just limited to an underperforming report, direct report. It can be for a star performer. Maybe there's a star performer in your team who is not achieving their peak performance. So when you see them, the idea or the question is, what is exactly holding this person, this valuable asset of this organization, this resourceful employee, from achieving that goal or going forward? That should be the basic question to start off with, to understand, okay, there's something more that needs the eye, and maybe we are not exploring that. Right? This is where the transformational approach of coaching comes into picture. And let me know if you have any questions. Of course, if you, yes, thank you. Yes, right. So when you talk about this as well, are we coaching the problem? For example, most of the leaders like to coach the problem. They've come up with a problem statement. You're coaching what to do in that particular situation. All right. How many of us actually also blend in coaching the person overall, the holistic approach of coaching the person and not just coaching the problem? So that's where we bring in the shift, where we talk about coaching the person as a whole, where it's a holistic approach. And of course, if you feel that there's an employee who is lost, or there's a star performer who's not doing well, you can at least start off with coaching. Now, the basic premise, again, when I talk about our own biases as well, I would like to give an example here. So there was this manager who thought that this person was being very quiet in some of the meetings, all right? And he said, I saw you in the last sales meeting, you went completely quiet in the conversation or in the meeting. What just happened? And then he assumed, he was mind reading, he was giving his own biases, saying that I felt like you were disengaged, or I thought that you were disengaged, right? And then later on, he came up with the response saying that actually I was not disengaged. I was giving the floor to other people because sometimes I feel I'm over domineering in these platforms, right? So this is where we need to understand that sometimes we might have our own assumptions as a coach as well, as a leader, as a manager, and we are mind reading that person. So the idea could be we can bring in the shift with a simple coaching conversation where we can ask them, so what's on your mind when you went quiet? Basic question, what's on your mind? And I was reading this book, this powerful book on leadership coaching by Stanier. I'd like to give those references as well at the end of today's webinar. He says that this is a power-packed question when you start off with what's on your mind, because it allows that space for them to explore. Okay, this is what I want to talk about, right? Again, the next one is what else? So the next question that you can ask your employee or your teammate or anyone you're coaching is, so, and what else? What else is coming up? And that is also one powerful question that you can bring to the table, where it allows them to go beyond what they're talking about. It's coming, they're emerging with answers, right? So, like I was talking about, it's a transformational approach altogether and not just a transactional one. Why transformational? Because we are dealing with their internal world, with their psyche, with their minds. And of course, when you talk about transactional, it's very much on the surface level. And of course, most of us like to keep it that way. Maybe that's our style of leadership. Maybe that's how we like to keep it. But if we want to explore the depths of someone's potential in certain roles, it might be a good idea to delve a little deeper, where we are going into their minds. What's actually stopping this person? What is the barrier? Where are the limitations? We help them see their own thinking in that process. So now question is, I'm pretty sure some of you have already these questions by now. So where do you think we can use these scenarios? Where can we bring in our coaching skills? Of course, you have a wide range of coaching scenarios, a gamut of these coaching scenarios where you can use your coaching skills, and they're primarily into general professional development. You can coach people to influence with more impact. You can coach people to eliminate a behavioral blind spot. This is what we have been talking about. Shift perceptions. That's where mostly coaching works wonders. It works like a magic tool. It works to resolve conflict in the team. You can engage employees with coaching skills if you already have those coaching skills inbuilt in you. You can lead teams. You can have group coaching as an approach and lead teams. You can execute strategies, of course, and you can help someone succeed in a new role and develop a cohort of powerful leaders in that process. Right? So these are some powerful coaching scenarios that you can have. Now, if you are not in the corporate field as well, if you talk about general coaching, like executive coaching in general situations like entrepreneurship, I'm sure some of you have people working with you. You can use these coaching skills to empower the people you are working with, right? You can help them shift their perceptions in this process. Now, another case study that I would like to throw in here. So this is called the case of the overwhelmed CEO, and I want all of you to answer as to how would you like to coach this person? So this person, the overwhelmed CEO, has 6,000 employees and is running a $2 billion organization. He's getting only 2 hours of sleep, and he has these frequent mood swings affecting his communication, affecting his decision making. He has health related concerns, and now the leadership team is very, very concerned. So, what do you think should be the approach to coach this person? How do you coach this person, or do you just coach the what of it? I'd like to hear from any one of you if you would like to talk about it. What do you think? How can you coach this person?
You coach the mindset and how to be emotionally intelligent, first of all, because I think he has very lack self-control on his emotions because his mood swings talk about it, I guess.
Okay.
So probably he should, yeah.
Yes. Please go
So
ahead.
probably I think he should be a leader who has a very poised and calm and composed nature, probably working on his emotions and thereby leading to other strategic decisions of his personal life first, and then probably going beyond his personal and then looking into the professional depth of his company.
Wow. Wow. Well, I like that approach. May I know who was speaking?
Yeah, this is Bitopi here.
Vitopi, hi. Yes, thank you. Anyone else would like to add to what Vitopi has just said, or something else is coming up this process?
Yeah.
Mm.
So, first of all, we have to make him or her understand that what impact his decisions and his mood swings are making
Mm.
on the
Okay.
employees in his organization and how important are they in their life. Uh, First of all, he needs to, sort out his own life to, make a schedule of everything and get out of these health concerns in order to
Mm.
uh, do better for others in the company.
Mm.
So once he understand that what role he or she is playing in others' life in his or her company, then maybe it can he or she can work on that.
Wow, well said. The impact that he's creating. Wow, absolutely. What else is coming up? I want to hear more responses. Anyone else would like to add? No one?
So first of all,
Yeah,
if
sure.
that person is getting 2 hours of sleepy, which is not good
Mm.
thing at all. So I will make him or her understand that the sleep is at least 6 to 7 hours of sleep is important in
Okay.
for humans.
Mm.
And yeah, so later on maybe I'll advise him to go to any dietitian or maybe
Mm.
uh, yeah, and to
Mm.
if he gets enough sleep, then I think there won't be any mood swings which
Mm.
will be affecting his decisions, and
Okay.
obviously it will be better for organization also.
Okay. Thank you. That's so, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Rohit, would you like to add?
Yes, first of all, I ask some question to him.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, why he getting a 2 hours of sleep? What is the reason he takes
Mm.
only 2 hours of sleeps? Why he not get the proper sleeps? Then my second
Mm.
question is, why mood swings is affecting your decision? When you take a decision, then what is the scenario in that time? Have you
Mm.
analyzed this, that?
Mm.
Third one is health related
Mm.
concerns. So these question is aligned with your sleeps. I can show the path how they both are correlate with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the
Okay.
so once he take a proper decision, when
Mm.
he identify, okay, I take a decision, and that time the mood, the environment, the scenario is
Mm.
happening in that time.
Mm.
Okay, so
Mm.
I change to decision timing.
Mm.
Okay, I'm not
Wow.
taking that time. Okay, sometimes in meetings some people is hammering,
Mm.
and then I just sit and silently, so
Yeah.
he will speak with this conversation. I just,
Mm.
as a coach, I just realize with
Mm.
he or she, uh,
Mm.
what is the exactly the reasons why you
Mm.
not getting proper sleeps, or why you,
Sleep.
when you
Mm.
take a decision, what is the
Mm.
environment and how you
Mm.
communicate with, and that time it is
Mm.
impact or not impact. So
Mm.
that time he will get a clear idea, and he that personally he take some suggestions,
Mm.
or we can say that we come to the solution.
Mm.
So that is
Mm.
I
Wow. Wow. You're already in the midst of leadership coaching here. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Rohit. Yes, we have Evans. Yes, Evans, would you like to add?
Yes, hello. How are you?
Hello.
I hope you're doing well. Mine is just to reiterate on what my co-participants have said, and I
Mm.
think it is an combination of all of these suggestions. An instance asking the questions that my other colleague asked. I think it is very important to try to get to the root of why um, how decisions are arrived at, why he's having these problems. And I think from understanding what is really causing all this, it becomes easier on a way to either collaborate with him, with the CEO, on through suggestions, obviously, on the possible ways that the rest of the employees that he is managing would at least make it easier for him to make sound decisions.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your inputs. Yes, absolutely. And again, if we talk about the shift, we talk about asking these questions, getting down to the root of the issue, and what exactly is plaguing or bothering or haunting this person where he's getting only 2 hours of sleep. It's very important to understand that, right? So we open that safe space of talking, the conversation, where he can talk freely of the challenges that he's facing currently, where he's not able to get enough sleep. And of course, we shift the mindset to more of yes, I would like to bring in the idea of bringing in the strategic use of time. So it's very important to ask him about how is he using his time and where is he focusing his time on? Because again, if the use of time is not strategic, that has to be eliminated. So this has to be brought in the coaching conversation. And of course, we need to bring him or bring the coaching conversation to the ideal organizational structure and, of course, how we build the capacity. So it turns out this CEO had a short staff. He did not really have a cohort of executive teams or managers to deal with different roles for delegation. So he was short-staffed in managers. That's where, of course, the need to fill in all shoes and do all of the work all by himself. And that's where he was not getting enough sleep. And of course, you would definitely want to ask him his perception or his belief system about control. What does he think of that? So it turns out most of the times when you coach personalities like this, you'll often find that they have very strong belief systems about control. And this is where they would say, I'm not being able to control things. It's not in my control. All right. I want to see things I want to see the right outcome. And probably this is where the idea of control is also coming up. So you might, as a coach, you might want to question, again, not giving advice or suggestion, you might want to question his perception about his sense of control and trust. What does he think of it? Is he controlling too much? Is he not trusting his employees with the delegation of tasks? Right? These are certain things that come up in the coaching conversation, of course. And lastly, setting boundaries. Is he not setting boundaries? This is where he's not getting enough sleep, or maybe he's not setting time for certain things, his priorities, right? So these are some scenarios, or I'd say the bullet points where we can coach them on. This is just an example of it. And of course, with coaching, we found that this person shifted the perception about control. And of course, he hired new members of the executive team to build capacity in that team. And he was able to manage accordingly. His productivity increased later on. He was able to manage his time properly or strategically. This is where we can bring in the value of coaching, asking the right questions. And now the question is, some of you might be thinking about it. So do we need to know all the answers when we are going in that coaching conversation? My answer is no. You don't need to know the answers. It's just that you need to be fully present. As coaches, we all need to be fully present in the coaching conversation where we allow them to come up with these answers. And that's where we build the next question. We may not have all the answers. Even coaches, when you go into the coaching conversation, you have to be open to any challenges. You have to be open to anything coming up in that conversation. And sometimes I've seen this in my coaching conversation as well. It was not going anywhere, it was going haywire, where they might have started off with a different outcome. And I see that they are totally lost because that is not the outcome that they were looking for in the first place. That something else has come up because of the stories that they are attached to. Right? This is where we need to be open to these possibilities as well when we are coaching. And like I said, now how does this work? And I'm not going to give you a detailed picture of how this works because that would take an entire, a different webinar altogether to talk about the tricks of the trade or the framework of how this works. But when you talk about the transformational coaching paradigm, this is how it works. we go about setting a clearly defined outcome first. What is the outcome that this person is looking for? Or as a manager, as a leader, what do we want them to work on? And that's where we start off with the coaching conversation. So what is it of the utmost importance that you would like to talk about today? What is it that you'd like to focus on? These are some questions that we can start off with, right? And when we are starting off with these questions, again, how do we understand or gauge their thinking? That's the question. The key is through their language and the words that they constantly use. So they might be constantly repeating a certain word. So I'm confused. I'm so baffled. I'm confused. I'm lost. I don't know how to prioritize this. Right. So there are certain words that might come up, which are called the key words, which they keep repeating. And as a coach, we might want to explore those words. Now, the idea is you might want to just assume that you already know the meaning of the words. Right. So if I say, for example, if Rohit has come to me for a coaching conversation and he's constantly talking about how overwhelmed he is, overwhelmed for me might be something else. It might mean something else to me. And as a coach, if I assume that I know the meaning of overwhelmed, I might be in for some trouble, right? I'm not exploring his thinking enough. I might not be thinking deep enough. So this is where we can explore their words now. So when you say you are overwhelmed, what do you mean by that? And that's where you're allowing, again, opening the door for their thinking and what they mean by being overwhelmed. You can explore their metaphors as well. I think in the last coaching conversation, there was this person, she's a financial advisor. She says this. She constantly kept saying that I have so many boxes open, right? So she was giving those metaphors. I have so many boxes open. I've kept this, and I'm not able to prioritize. I think I'm losing my vision there, right? So when this person is talking about these metaphors like boxes, right? So you might want to explore that word. So when you say boxes, what do you mean by that? That's when in the coaching conversation, we found that she was constantly saying this. I don't want to live my life in this box. I want to explore something beyond it. Right. And that's where you have new answers emerging, of course. And like I said, your outcome can be totally different. It can be a totally different outcome. And you might have started off with something different and you suddenly see in the midway your coaching conversation is going somewhere else. Why? Because the outcome has suddenly shifted. So in this situation, you allow the shift in the outcome as well. And what do we do in the process? We listen for fears, we listen for doubts, we listen for their underlying beliefs, where they are coming from. Right? So the idea is all about asking reflective questions on their words, emotions, and body language. Sometimes they might be fidgeting, they might be playing with their hair, they might be touching their neck, they might have a pause, the volume of the voice has gone down. So as a coach, you might want to reflect on these areas. You might want to say, okay, so when you said that, you got a little quiet when the topic came up. What actually came up for you? This is where you are allowing them to explore their own thinking. And what does it require for us to do to be more present in the conversation, to be more of a listening partner along with the thinking partner and not jump to conclusions readily? All right, what are you talking about? I'm going to give you the suggestion here. All right, so we have the natural impulse to do that. This is where we have to stop and allow the person to emote, to come to see what answers are coming up. Right? So when you talk about reflective questions as well, it's about climbing the tree where you get to see them the wider connections of their own mind and you help them break free from their own stories. And that is at the heart of your breakthrough coaching. It's about breaking the frames of their mental map and helping them see new possibilities, new perspectives, and new inputs in that direction. All right. So if I have to just talk about it briefly, this is where you can start off with breakthrough coaching. It's all about paraphrasing what they're saying, the language. Pay close attention to the language, the keywords. If they say, I'm feeling lost because of this, you can paraphrase it. When you see a little bit of resistance or deflecting, offer your observations. I saw you resisting it a little bit. What came up? When you see an emotional shift like a nervous laughter, right? You want to notice that as a coach. And of course, you want to acknowledge that they are willing to take note of it and stretch and grow and work on the desired outcome. So maybe as a coach, you would like to say, so with all this awareness, where do you want to go now from here? Right. So this is where you allow them to progress in the conversation. Right now, some of you, I believe that we all have dabbled a little bit into the coaching framework. But if I have to give a basic framework for today that you'd like to practice or try out, in case you'd like to try out the first one, it's basically on goal, which is the grow model, right? Which stands for goal, reality, options, and way forward. This is a very basic framework that we have that you can use. And when you talk about it, so you have goal, where you can ask them questions on the desired outcome. What is it that you'd like to work on? And the reality of the situation could be an honest assessment of where they are. So the other day, I think there was this coaching conversation where the person kept saying that I don't think I'm going to be a good manager. I don't think I'm a good fit. Right? She kept repeating that I don't think I'm a good fit, even though she had the right skills. She kept repeating, I don't think I'm a good fit because I have this, I have that. I don't think I have the right skills. And this is where you bring in the mirror and ask, so what is holding you back, or where do you stand currently in terms of your skills? Right? This is where you can have a question which can reflect back the reality. And then, of course, you can explore the options. So what options do you think this person has at their disposal? What they can try, what is in their control and what is not in their control. So this is what you can explore in this stage. And of course, the last one, the way forward, where you agree on certain action items, you make them accountable for the actions they are likely to take. So this is not the entire picture of it, of course. When you talk about the ICF-based coaching, it's totally, when you talk about the ICF-based coaching, it's very deep. It's diving deep into more of competencies that we have, even in executive and leadership coaching. But if you'd like to start off with something, this definitely works. All right. So just a brief idea of how leadership coaching enables. Of course, we have a lot in the table. You see teamwork performance increasing. You see improved communication skills. You have an expansion of your career opportunities. You have, of course, you increase an employee's self-confidence, and you manage work-life balance. And of course, you have improved business management as well. All right. Now, the question is, you might be thinking already, so why should I invest in leadership coaching? Right? Even if you're talking about it, yes, I heard you, Dharmishta, but why should we invest in it? Right? That's the question. Now, a lot of people, a lot of leaders, managers, this is what we inherently believe, that we don't really have time to coach people, Dharmishta, because we've already spent a lot of time in training. They are ready to hit the production floor. Why would we spend so much time in coaching people? Now, let me tell you, this is where the perk is. You actually save a lot of time when you're investing in coaching. You are letting them deep dive into their own potential, and they would not come to you again and again. Right? This is where you focus on your strategy and help build other leaders as well. But when you coach someone, it's a proven track record that it's a potential tool to professional development. It's proven already, and we have seen that. And some of us might be wondering, so what is the impact on the ROI? What is the return on investment that we are getting in coaching? The ROI is huge when you talk about coaching a person, because you're empowering them to see through their own thinking. You're empowering them to help build that capacity to help move forward. And you see that most of the times, now this is a proven study as well, when you invest in coaching, you are actually getting a return which is 4 times more than the results that you get just from training alone when you combine it with training and coaching. Right? This is why you should invest in leadership coaching. I would urge you to try leadership coaching if you haven't already. Of course, you can hire an external coach like me, or we have several coaches who are already there in the field of work. Or what we can do is we can invest time and empower our leaders and managers already to become coaches in the practice so that we can help empower other people, right? And of course, to end today's webinar now on this note, I would like to say that when you raise your people, you actually raise the impact that you create in your organization. And leadership coaching, of course, helps you do that in all ways, all means possible. Right? So yes, thank you again for listening patiently, for being such a wonderful audience. And of course, I would like to open the floor for questions, discussions, inputs, reactions, anything coming up. Yes, over to you, Rohit and team, and to everyone here. Thank you, Ram. Ram, would you like to say something? Yes.
Thanks for a wonderful session, Mr. I think it's beautifully covered, very insightful, and it's very clear that coaching is a very, very powerful tool to help people look within and figure out ways of empowering and growing. Thanks again.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that beautiful feedback. Again, yes. Thank you, Anisa. Thank you. Well, I hope you liked it. I hope this helped. Anyone else would like to go on mute and talk? Oh yes, we have a couple of questions. Yeah, I think subjects coaching and mentoring are being misrepresented. If I'm wrong, please clarify. Yes, there's a huge difference. So when you mentor someone, the mentor comes with years of experience, where you handhold the person. There's a lot of handholding going on. You mentor that person, you teach them, you train them in that process, right? But coaching is more of an enabling process where we believe that this person already has this potential. We can tease that potential out. We can prod that out of them. That's where coaching is a tad different from mentoring for sure. Thank you. Anyone else would like to add? Any questions coming up? Okay. But if not now, if you have any questions coming up, I'm sure. Yes, I think I heard someone unmuting themselves. Anyone? Okay. So if you have any questions coming up in the process as well, and maybe not now and later on, of course, I'm free for a discussion, or I'm here to help you with the answers. And if you all feel that coaching can help you or benefit you in your organization, even as a manager, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, in whatever capacity you are working, you can let us know, and we can have a more detailed webinar or a workshop rather on leadership coaching to help you with the tools and the right approach and the methodology which can help you become a coach already. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shifa. Thank you. Thank you for joining in, Shifa, and thank you for the beautiful insight. All right, over to you, Rohit and team. Well, if we don't have any other questions, thank you. Thank you, Karan.
Okay, so thank you so much, Dharmishta. This was such an enlightening session, such a wonderful discussion, and truly a knowledge sharing session. So from Agile People Ops, we would truly like to thank you for a wonderful and engaging session. I would also like to thank you all from the audience for your participation, your enthusiastic participation in discussions, and in joining us today. We look forward to your further engagement down the line. As Dharmeshta shared, this would be a wonderful session to be considered as an introductory into leadership coaching. So we appreciate your time and your participation, and we hope that you found today's session very informative, I do believe, and engaging, of course. I do believe that is the case. So moving on to some other order of our business of the day. You will find in our chat box that we have posted the feedback link. So your feedback is very important to us, and we would like to ask you to share that with us. Okay. Okay. So next up, as you can see, we will be coming up with a lot more sessions to learn and grow, for you to learn and grow with us, of course. So with that being said, our next APO event is the Team Coaching Communities of Practice event that takes place on the 27th of December. And this is all about navigating team dynamics and unleashing potential through coaching leadership. So our coaches, Himani and Naveen, will be conducting that session. So I hope you guys are all excited to join in and give your participation and input there as well. So please do scan the QR code that you find on the bottom right of your screens in order to register for this event. Okay. Just giving you some time. All right, so moving on. What's next? So now I would like to ask Rohit to share with us some information on what's happening next within our India community with regards to any webinar events. Rohit, over to you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Jarisa. First of all, thank you so much, Dharmista. The session is rock and roll. I personally feel that everyone learn many new things and many topics, and everyone will implement this kind of the sessions, whatever they learn. And this is the amazing thing. And now what is the next? In January 2014, we're celebrating the new year with the very different approach. In webinar, we are come together and just listen and learn from the expert. Okay, but what we make some changes. We were a little bit make a changes. In January, we introduce one program where everyone will meet and discuss, or we just talk together. Like for example, we are meet in Starbucks, say hi, how are you going? So same like agile people meet, we are going to introduce this program in from the January. And in January you can explore, like communicate with the uh, people with the very different perspective, with the different they work zone, with the working style. They share their journey, they share about the concerns whatever they're facing. And sometimes you also realize, okay, that problems I'm also facing in my company, so what is the solution? Then we discuss about the solution. Okay, so please join Agile People Coffee Meet, where we drink coffee and enjoy the discussion, whatever the happening. Everyone will input their whatever the opinion, or whatever what is the we can say the knowledge information. And this is where going to happen in January. So keep yes, we will keep touch. and we will share all the information on our pages or with the various medium, newsletter, everything for the upcoming details. Yes, Charles? Right.
Wow. Thank you, Rohit. And we are truly looking forward to that coffee meet. It will be an interesting session. So with regards to our upcoming event, like Rohit shared with us, the link to register for this event will be shared to all via email, right? And we will share the recording of this session with all the participants who have registered. We will upload the session to our Agile People Ops YouTube channel as well, for those of you who would like to just recap, because it was so condensed. There was so much information to garner from the session. So I'm sure you guys would be clicking on that link. And then I would like to invite you to join our Agile People Ops India community. You will see in the right-hand corner, once again, we have a QR code that we have provided. Please scan that to join the India community page on LinkedIn. And with that, we have now truly come to the end of our session. So once again, thank you to all for joining. And we would love to wish you a wonderful day or evening to those who've already come to the end of their day ahead, and a brilliant week going forward. Thank you so much for joining us. Keep well. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.